Great to have you with us today for the programme. Madrid's historic square was turned into a battlefield overnight after British football fans clashed with Spanish police ahead of their club's Champions League match. According to Spanish media, the trouble started when a group of supporters from the English club Leicester City started throwing bottles at police who responded with tear gas. British fans also shouted obscenities and set off some types of smoke bombs. And at least 8 people were arrested for public disorder and vandalism. 3 police officers were said to have been injured as well. Now, the long-running territorial dispute between the UK and Spain over Gibraltar, which recently escalated over the Brexit issue, seems to have potentially added fuel to the fire.
Gibraltar is us! Gibraltar is us! Gibraltar is us!
After reports of the clashes started coming in, many British media outlets were defending the fans, saying the Spanish police were to blame. One BBC journalist claimed the fans were just simply walking along, chanting slogans when police attacked them for no apparent reason. Well, earlier we heard from Professor of Sociology at Aston University, Ellis Cashmore. He says wherever British fans go, security forces are always on heightened alert, and for good reason.
Wherever English fans go, I suppose British fans, I should make that, everywhere in the world, I think security forces are on alert, because British fans have a very well-earned and well-documented reputation for causing mayhem and disturbance pretty much wherever they go in the world. We do not see much in the way of violence at British stadiums at the moment. It's gone quiet over here, but whenever British fans travel abroad, as they are this evening and as they will be next year, of course, to the World Cup, then I think security forces are wary and suspicious that there may well be violence.
And this comes less than 2 months since a BBC documentary on Russian fans was first broadcast.
I'm going to Russia to meet the hooligans who hold the fate of England fans in their hands. Men who reject the negative image of the past to embrace a new identity.
It claimed British fans travelling to Russia for World Cup 2018 will be risking their lives. According to the documentary, hardline Russian supporters have promised a festival of violence. And to cap it all off, it was alleged the Russian government is somehow involved. Well, Ellis Cashmore again believes the Western media's coverage of football violence is typically hypocritical.
The Western media are great hypocrites in the sense that they criticise violence when it's perpetrated by fans overseas, often neglecting the fact that the people who gave hooliganism to the world were in fact the English. It's called when the pot calls the kettle black. In the 1960s and 70s, practically every game in Britain had some violent element. And of course, other countries across the world, not just in Europe, but around the world, have done exactly the same thing. I won't say they copied the English, but certainly this is where it started. So it's an embarrassment, frankly, when we get the opportunity to criticise fans from elsewhere in the world for doing exactly the kind of thing that has been going on in Britain for many decades, then we take that opportunity. And I think that is what's happening here. I think that we're looking at Russia particularly as the host of the next World Cup, and we have focused on the fact that some elements of football fans in Russia are preparing for violence. Whether they're preparing to perpetrate it or defend themselves, I don't really know, but I suggest the former. There is now a kind of, I think, a preparedness a willingness to believe just about anything about Russia at the moment. So it won't surprise me if Russia has more blame heaped on it, even despite what's going on tonight or last night.
Not long after the BBC documentary, Premier League side Manchester United had to face the Russian club FC Rostov in a Europa League game. British fans were warned against travelling to Russia for the match. Those brave enough to go were strongly advised to keep a low profile and be wary of potential violence. But in front of the cameras, the Russian fans were ready and waiting.
Welcome to Russia. Hello, thank you very much. Мы сегодня победим, Анна. Welcome to Russia. Welcome to Russia. Thank you very much. It's really good of you to do this. Thank you. Welcome to Russia and thank you. All good. Не бойтесь, я вас не буду. Gothenburg City Theatre.